right, I did it. The one movie I said I wasn't gonna watch this year because I couldn't handle watching a cat be in duress, A Quiet Place Day 1. But what else is new? There's all sorts of things I say I'm never gonna watch and then I find myself watching. Even knowing that nothing bad was going to happen to that cat before the movie came out and having it confirmed once the movie did come out, I did not want to watch this movie, even though I really enjoyed the first one when it came out and I covered the second one on this channel. Did I cover the first one on this channel? I don't. But enough of you little gremlins ass, so I figured why not get my heart racing on a Tuesday night? Why not increase my stress levels when I can scream at the TV in the comfort of my own home? And yeah, I honestly do regret it a little tiny bit because my Apple Watch was going crazy while watching this. I did not enjoy the cat being in any situation of duress, and even if it wasn't in a situation of duress, if I couldn't see it, I was in duress. You know, the kid dying in the first one got me, but this is worse. I don't care if that's weird, the kitty can't understand what's going on. And the cat's name is Frodo and really feels so much like Frodo because he needs a little help around all the time to make sure he doesn't just wander into death. Except I think Sam carries Frodo safer in the movie than they ever carry this cat safely. Okay, I'm gonna calm down. The movie's not about the cat. But either way, I really enjoyed that first Quiet Place movie when it came out. I know people get hung up on a lot of the different logistical issues, but I don't think they super matter overall. I just thought it was a really effective and heartfelt thriller. The second one, on the other hand, a lot messier. The character motivations and actions at times were just so dumb that it drove me crazy. It did have some very cool moments, but yes, it annoyed me. This at least has the benefit of entirely taking place within the first few days of this apocalyptic situation happening, so if people are being illogical and stupid, they have a good reason to. And I really like the idea of a day one movie. The tagline for this was pretty cool, the whole the day the world went quiet stuff, but it's not really focused on that, I don't find. I guess I get how this isn't really a situation you can ease into because it's just a bunch of aliens crashing around the world at the same time and killing anything louder than a sniffle, but unless the plot decides they can be louder at any given moment and not attract any attention. But in general, louder than a sniffle. But to me, it still just wasn't as interesting as it could have been. It doesn't really feel like a movie of people dealing with a new threat. I don't even think the leads ever seem to question or talk about what these things outside might be or even wonder about them, which is just wild to me. Yeah, you see a lot of people that are freaked out and shell-shocked, and some people do panic in really irrational ways, but it's still not as much as one might assume when alien creatures have landed on Earth. And as fast as the entire world seems to fall apart, it really made me question a lot of the stuff that was in that first movie. Lee has newspapers in his basement calling them death angels because they came from the sky, meaning that there were newspapers that came out in the days following these meteorites crashing on Earth and got wide enough distribution that Lee could find them. But if everything fell apart within the matter of hours, I just don't see a world where they could have made a newspaper, but sure. There might be a way to explain around it, and I'm totally open to it, and I will nitpick some things, but that's not one of the things I'm really gonna dive into. That aside, I was actually hoping for more lore in this movie. I was cool not knowing too much about the creatures in the first one, just catching glimpses of what they thought they knew from Lee's workstation in the basement. But the more of these movies they make, the more I feel like they need to tell us things. This one is called Day One, so I was really hoping for some day one action and some day one moments of people figuring out what these are and how they work and easing into it. But no, that's not what we get. Honestly, with a title like this, I really feel like this should have been saved for one of the movies that deals with the scientists or the military people who know what's going on to a greater extent. Maybe they'll call that one A Quiet Place Origins. And that's not to say that I dislike the strong emotional aspect of these movies, because I actually think that is the strongest thing they have going for them. But it's just starting to feel like a lack of commitment to a set storyline at this point. And with the focus of the franchise being human connection over lore, it feels more disappointing in this one when you find out that they deleted an entire scene that provided major character development and background from one of the main characters, but we will get into that as we go. But before I can really get into specifics, we have to go into spoiler town, so I guess all I'll say is that I probably like this one a little bit more than the second. I'd have to rewatch it to really find out though. Lupita completely steals the show. Joseph is also fantastic in this. I think the characters really elevate this, the actors and the performances, and the adorable ball of fluff stresses me the fuck out. But what doesn't stress me out is today's sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark VPN is my go-to when I need my internet to think I'm in a different location. Whether it's to watch region-locked content, access Canadian services while I'm traveling, protect myself on public Wi-Fi, Surfshark makes it easy for me to connect to any one of their thousands of different server locations all around the world to keep my online activity smooth and secure. Like this weekend, I wanted to rewatch The Hitman. I had caught it at a film festival, I knew Netflix bought it, I saw that it was supposed to be on Netflix, but then it just said it was coming soon, even though I thought it hit Netflix at least a month ago. Come to find find out Canada isn't getting it on Netflix until August 22nd. So all I had to do was connect to a US server location and I was clear to watch the Richard Linklater goodness. Surfshark is fast, secure, blocks unwanted ads, can be used across unlimited devices, and if you're not completely satisfied, they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if you use code JEDI at the link in the description down below, you can get up to 4 months of Surfshark completely free, so make sure to check them out today. But let's dive into the movie here. The main premise is Lupita Nyong'o's character is dying, so it's pretty well letting us know from the beginning that she will not be prioritizing her life, but she has a cat, so there is something to live for. You have to live because he needs to eat. And I think she's a fairly interesting character to introduce into this world, someone who's facing the end of the world already dying, and the only damn thing she wants is a slice of New York pizza, specifically from Patsy's. Because yeah, truly, before any of this even starts happening, she is over it in hospice.
I'm gonna share a poem I've been working on. It's called This Place is Shit.
Nice to see horror alumni Alex Wolff here as the nurse, and because I know he's not the one running around with her in the promos, I assume he eats it pretty early on in the movie. He uses that love of pizza to manipulate her into the city to a marionette show. As lately mentioned, who is going to be running around with her soon enough is Eddie from Stranger Things, Joseph Quinn, who this marionette was designed after, kind of. We'll get back to that later, but this marionette show really moves Sam, but she doesn't really want to engage with the ways that it's affecting her and her impending death, so she leaves. But they also went ahead and threw in Djimon's character from the second movie in this for some reason, just I guess to create some loose connection to the other installments, because why not? But it doesn't take long for things to go to shit. Before anything even has time to happen, you see Humvees rushing through the street on their way into this marionette show. We could see fighter jets in the sky, so obviously they could probably tell that there were asteroids entering Earth's atmosphere, but I guess didn't know enough of what it was going to be to actually issue early evacuation warnings. But that's okay. But before they even have time to hit, Alex is getting calls from the hospice to get everyone back because something weird is happening. And that's not remotely okay with Sam, because the only reason why she agreed to come into this show is because he promised that they could get actual pizza.
We're not getting pizza.
Yes, we are getting
Okay, you gotta calm down. Calm down.
And this is really like a child at daycare being like, we are not going back until we get ice cream. You promised we were getting ice cream. But yeah, you know, honestly, if you're dying, you want pizza, you're probably gonna be a kid about it, and you deserve that. But before they can get far, the asteroids hit Earth, everything starts getting smashed up, she wanders around shell-shocked, people are getting snatched up left and right, we get this death angel just like slowly coming into view like a big old badass dinosaur from Jurassic Park. It's like, all I can really think about in these moments are, where's the damn cat? We won't find out right now because she gets knocked the fuck out. Before cutting to the title card, but I don't give a damn, where is the cat? Normally it's so fun to see when they decide to drop the title card, but no! So she wakes up back in the theater because Djimon brought her in, making sure she doesn't cough because they have already all gathered that they can't make noises because that's what's gonna get them killed. Some of that is just gonna be common sense. You don't know what they are, but if they hear you, it just makes logical sense that they're gonna attack you. But it just doesn't feel like there's any discovery phase of this movie, which is kind of what I would have been looking forward to the most in something called Day One. Like, not having a discovery phase in the first movie was fine because the whole point of that was us entering their world and learning as we're going through their day-to-day activities. They've been living this reality for years and we're just getting pulled in, but now we're all supposed to be on the same playing field, and it almost seems like they're doing that by literally speedrunning these characters through things that it would be way more satisfying to see them learn. Like, honestly, the intro of the second movie felt more like a satisfying start to a Day One premise than this, which is kind of unfortunate. Thankfully, the cat is safe. All is good in the world. Alex Wolff made sure that little angel was alive. I hate this. I hate it so much. Why would they do this to me? It's so stressful. But as they're bunkered in here, the military helicopter starts swirling overhead and telling everybody to remain quiet. So I guess that's how they figured out why to do it. But that's just riling the aliens up, which then freaks the cat out. So it runs through the room of dead bodies where the aliens are right outside. Terrible, because then it makes a little bell jingle and she's got to run and grab it right as it comes crashing through. And, you know, she's not the one who's gonna get killed. She's gonna get Alex Wolff here killed. That's fucked up. Like, I don't want anyone to die, but I guess if we had to say, like, which of these two people should die, is it the person who's gonna die within the next couple weeks probably, or is it the person who's a nurse? But no, thankfully not yet, at least. I guess it can't hear his heartbeat. I will say that maybe there's like enough noise going on around it that it can't hone in on such minute things, but I don't know. I feel like his heart would be pounding pretty hard. It is literally an inch from his face, like plate stabbing a dead body, you'd think. But whatever, the military comes back around right at this moment, so it gets thwarted off in a different direction. We see they've already started working on an evacuation plan. They want people to stay off the bridges, presumably so they can blow them up and landlock the monsters in, because again, they've already determined that they can't swim. It takes them so much longer than that to realize that the aliens and signs are allergic to water. But within a couple hours here, we know they can't swim. So we kind of have to live in a world where they simultaneously have realized all of this stuff within a matter of like hours at most, but they don't know that high frequencies would make them vulnerable to attack, so that they could be lured places and blown up en masse. Sure, cool, sick, conveniences. But again, ultimately I just find myself wondering, where is the cat? Just wasting all this time looking at a globe that seems to just be pinpointing all the places where you have confirmed large-scale attacks without any eyes on your precious? My precious. Sorry, his name is Frodo. It kind of begs it, doesn't it? So the bridges go, and even though they all know and have been told multiple times that sound attracts them, this dude starts freaking out, thinking that they're trapped, that they've purposely trapped them all on this island, which, honestly, fair concern. Maybe the evacuation messages should have been telling people why they should stay off the bridges. I get the panic in this situation, but my guy, you gotta chill out, because even when they're trying to quiet him, it's almost like he wants to try even harder to attract them to him because he just starts yelling. So the man Djimon has to bash his skull in, which was really just seemed like pushing him against the wall really hard, which his kid sees. I feel like that shouldn't have killed him, but apparently it did. Or I guess that's just like weird movie logic. Like, if you're the protagonist and somebody literally bashes your head in with a baseball bat, you might not even get knocked out. But if you're just the character that needs to be killed, just a light little head tap and you're done. But his kid runs away when he sees it. We are getting so much early developed trauma here all around the board. But if the kid cannot scream and put up a fuss, you as a grown-ass man should have been able to do that too. But even through all of this and all the drama, Sam is just planning on getting that pizza, which, kind of fair. She's going to die anyways, and I'm guessing they're not going to rush back to making pizza, even if this doesn't turn into a world-scale disaster event that it seems to be. There is potentially only a few pieces of pizza left at this place to get to before they go bad or stolen by critters. But again, we know that Alex Wolff will not be coming on this journey, so this is when he makes his grand exit. The power ends up cut, but then the generator comes on, which is obviously super loud. He does manage to shut it off, but then his shirt rips, and that combined with the breathing and the shuffling has him murked within seconds. Poor guy. I know a lot of people were like, really, a shirt ripping did it, but you gotta remember, the generator was going pretty regularly. That thing was already coming at him. He didn't really make it that far. It makes sense to me. So now there's really no reason for her to hang around much longer, so she sets off. She gets some supplies and takes exactly 1 can of cat food. Look, I get that it's nice to leave stuff for other people, but Jesus, that boy is gonna need more. Okay, so she actually grabbed 2 at once, but point still stands. And I get that it's a service animal of types and they are better behaved and probably just a little bit quieter, but cats can get pretty vocal if you miss their scheduled food time. Honestly, one of the best things about this movie has been watching the memes from cat owners popping up, trying to figure out how long they would survive in this movie, and it's usually just within 2 seconds of them running that the cat is freaking out.
This is Howl, and we're going to test to see if we would survive. How quiet, please. Took over.
They're so cute and it's accurate. We'd all be dead. But then even her feeding the cat starts to bother me because she just leaves him over there snarfing it all up like a little fiend while she goes over to talk the kids in the water, and they start realizing, if we're around this kind of continuous noise, they don't seem to hear us as well, and then they don't attack as quickly. Terrible, because then the helicopters come back telling everybody to make their way to the dock so they can be put on boats because, again, they figured out that these guys can't swim. So thankfully the cat doesn't run away during this and nobody instantly gets murked when they do it, but that does just lead to a situation that looks like the Walking Soon-to-be Dead. Dozens, if not hundreds of people flooding the streets, roller wheels crunching on gravel, people coughing up dust. You just can't have a group of people that large be silent, so it doesn't take long for the aliens to swing back around and start swatting the shit out of everyone. They would just be the world's most successful librarians. That was dumb. Moving on. So Sam starts getting trampled because she was going the opposite way, which sucks. But again, what happened to Frodo? She runs off, not even looking for where he may have gotten off to. But whatever, it's fine, I'm sure. And I guess we should be concerned her foot just got crushed because of a car, so she's limping, but thankfully, Frodo is fine. He was just chasing little city critters. We're in full cat cam mode. Doesn't have a concern in the world, which is when Joseph Quinn literally pops up into the movie. Having a total moment with one another, no idea how he crashed out of a flooded subway entrance, but he is safe for now. Not long ago, I actually found out that there was an entire section of backstory cut from him. There's a whole scene cut out of this movie, which I think really hurts it. And apparently he was trying to kill himself that day because he didn't feel like he belonged anywhere anymore for some reasons that I'll kind of touch on later. Because there's some stuff he says not long after this that feels so much more satisfying with this scene added in. And I just think it makes a way better connection between the two of them. The boy who was trying to die now trying to survive with the girl who's going to die. But no, they had to cut it. Stupid. And again, the whole point of this movie is that connection between them. Just give the movie those couple extra minutes so the scenes you already have in it have more meaning. But he starts to follow the cat because, yeah, I probably would too in this scenario, and he's just this big lost baby who decides to follow Sam around now. His name is Eric, and as much as she wants him to leave, he will not. Doesn't care that there's a ship bringing people to safety. He's just British, ooh-woo, and alone. I say ooh-woo and not sad because he's literally making these like little ooh-woo movie the entire time. Also make note here that the puppet from the beginning is kind of supposed to be based on Eric, and a lot of them parallel. It's like they mirror each other, like one of his pant legs is ripped and it's the opposite one of the puppet being ripped. It's a thing. But to get out of this storm, they decide to go to her old apartment that she still somehow has, even though she's in hospice, which is typically where you go when it's time to die, but that's fine. She's still got a place. That's cool. He's pretty gung-ho to come on this pizza mission, even though he really doesn't want to die now, apparently. It seems like his life had a very specific plan in mind and expectations with law school.
This wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah, shocking that an apocalypse-level alien invasion wasn't part of the plan, but get good, scrub, always be expecting. But again, when you find out later that his original plan was kind of taking himself out of the equation that moment, I feel like there is just kind of like a lot more meaning going on here. He moved away to New York to get away from his father, who didn't accept him as gay, but then still struggled to make any deeper connections and make a home in New York. So once it doesn't go to plan, he's seeking that connection with Sam. But this all kind of makes for a nice emotional moment. She makes him understand that her pizza adventure is actually a suicide mission because she's essentially on her last minimal leg of energy. But even with all that, when she tries to sneak out the next morning, he follows. It's actually so funny because the way the cat's looking up, you're like, oh God, what is behind her? And it's just Eric standing there like, Mom says it's my turn on the Xbox. But I can't even enjoy that because they continue to let my stress levels grow by letting the cat walk off leash. I guess if you get attacked, now he has a chance of getting away, but it's more likely to make a stupid noise and get in trouble. It's a cat and then you won't be close enough to save him. There's also a bunch of debris and broken windows and glass, and he's got cut his little footy. Cause yeah, it's not long till we get an issue. She drops a book. So instantly they are all swarming down around them, coming from the heavens, as you might say if you're one of the people who call them death angels. It's a pretty neat scene though, as they're coming in through like the skyscraper buildings and stuff and just crashing into the buildings. I assume maybe pissing themselves off because they really hate noise and they are making so much of it. And as sad and pathetic as Eric seems to be, he's at least smart enough to smash a car window to distract them long enough to make a getaway, so that is useful. Good job, scared British boy. So they make their way into the subway, which honestly just seems like a great place for a bunch of aliens to hide, and it's flooded, but I get it, there's not a lot of options when you're being hunted down and this thing is literally like stomping down to find ya. They are being shockingly chill for this thing being so close to them before they climb into the water. Flooded New York City still water? No. I would just hide in a corner and just sneak by it again. But yeah, it's not long before they realize that these things are just like chilling in catacombs they've made underground. I guess they've also already realized that they're blind, so they don't even freak out as much as you'd expect them to. Like, yeah, Eric starts having a little bit of a panic attack, but he's not like screaming the way you might expect when you jump scare yourself with a monster. And his whimpering ends up getting so bad that they have to make a mad dash out of here. They are literally like underwater for so long with that poor little kitty who probably doesn't understand how to hold his breath. But thankfully the little angel is okay. The monster dies, thankfully, because it can't swim because it doesn't know how to hold its breath. But thankfully, Frodo is magic. I'm so upset though. Why would they do this? Once they get out to the other side and crawl up, they are suddenly in a church. And the people praying here don't even flinch. They don't even look in their direction. And like, I guess if it's time to make deals with your lord, you better stay focused. But all that strain and no medicine has really set Sam back on the pain scale and like the physical wellness scale. So Eric, the king, ventures out to get her medicine. And of course, the damn cat shows up. He would have been so safe in that church. Why was no one watching him? Like, I get that he followed you, but march his little butt back so fast and leash it up. Thankfully, he finds the meds, but then the cat runs off into this blown up section that the aliens are using as a base camp after it licks up some blood sludge or something. And then there's all these spore, mushroom, egg nutrient things for the aliens to eat that the cat is also just super interested in licking. And we seemingly have this like massive queen or king type alien if we're supposed to think that they're like a hive. I don't get the impression that they're an actual hive mind, but I do get the idea that they listen to whatever this thing is, like it called and they all showed up. So it's like they're trying to give us lore, but then also realizing that there's no way for us to understand like what they're saying or what they're doing or what their customs are. So without someone who's able to like explain it, we can only infer what's going on here. For me, if you're not interested in going deeper in the lore, just don't show us anything. Because this is a really weird moment where Eric has to like climb up a steel beam to get to the cat, and somehow neither of them make enough noise to be noticed. It just seems really unlikely. That thing is right up on him, and I guess that there's like enough noise going on around that's so loud it distracts from like the smaller noise of like his breathing and his heartbeat. I'll give it that, but it is just weird, but we'll allow it. Thankfully, the cat doesn't seem unwell after licking a bunch of alien crud, and Eric manages to get it out of a den of murder machines without a single one of them noticing. So the next morning, she's starting to feel better. They head out to finally find the pizza, and of course, it is like the one spot on the entire block in Harlem that is totally destroyed. This is like in Zombieland when they find the Hostess Twinkie truck and the whole thing's actually just filled with snowballs. But they still find a way to have a human moment. He asks her to take him to the place that her dad used to always play piano, and it's this bar that is completely untouched somehow. And then he goes out to find any other pizza he can find, which he does. And you know what? At the end of the world, a slice of New York pizza, when you've gone that long without food, is gonna taste like heaven. It's like pizza after the bar. It just tastes good. And then Eric ends up putting on a little magic show. We get a little glimpse of more of his personality. And according to the director, this is supposed to parallel that marionette show where, again, the puppet is designed to be like Eric, where you can see that Sam was moved by what was happening, but wouldn't allow herself to feel it because of how it tied into her own limited time. Whereas with the magic show, she is allowing herself to connect and pretend to be performing for an audience. Honestly, it would have been so funny if she had had an actual verbal response to him picking the right card and then they just came crashing in. But no, they start to venture out onto the fire escape and see that one of the last boats seems to be leaving the city, making a lot of noise. Like, I get that they can't swim, but they can leap pretty intensely and you're just calling them all right to you. Maybe it's to try to pull them away from a certain area of the dock if they are planning to like take the boat back and forth, but I don't know, it kind of just seems dumb either way. Like if I was on that boat and it was going, I'd be like, please stop, we need to murder the captain. But at this point, she seems to have accepted that she's going to die and is kind of making it her mission to make sure Eric and the cat make it out. She gives him her cardigan, which was actually her father's, so very significant, and she hands over Frodo. And yeah, this shit got me. It's sad for her, it's sad for Eric, it's sad for Frodo. So she starts smashing car windows to give him a chance to jump into the water and get away, but it's like a bit weird how far she gets. Like she can barely move, she can barely walk with an injured foot. She is too weak to keep smashing the windows, and they don't manage to get to her when so much of the time they can just snatch people up in seconds. I guess the car alarm would be so distracting and annoying to them, and if it was multiple, that would just focus in all their attention. They lose track of whatever the hell she was. But it's working. Eric makes his mad dash to the dock. It seems like it's going well, and then the second they get the car alarm shut off, he kicks a can. And that's all it takes for them to be swarming in on him so fast. And I know some people took issue with this. It's like, why didn't they notice him running before? Well, to me, that's very obvious. They were so distracted by how loud the car alarm was that it was gonna drown out the sound of his feet running, but they shut it off. And then he kicks the can. So then they are very aware of the sound of his feet hitting the dock. So it made sense to me, but I will say that they managed to swarm in on him very quickly compared to how they like didn't swarm in on Sam. But either way, he makes it to the water just in time, and the cat seems oddly chill, which is good because I'd be very upset if he looked distressed. I do think I heard one unhappy noise come out of him though, so watch it. And then because they just need to keep it all connected, it is Djimon who got them to stop the boat long enough so that he can one-arm swim to safety, finding a note that Sam left, telling him to take care of her cat and thanking him for showing her how to live again. And yeah, I started tearing up here. It's sad and beautiful that it took facing down the end of the world to realize how beautiful it can be to be alive. But then she decides to go out on her own terms by pulling the headphones out of the speaker, letting Feel Good by Nina Simone ring out before one drops down behind her. And at least I'll say it is a fast death with these things. They are not trying to prolong you being alive because they are not trying to eat you. And honestly, in the grand schemes of a slow, cancer-ridden death versus like the instant brutality of these monsters, I might take that, honestly. I might take being killed by the alien. At least you'd have a really cool afterlife story. So yeah, on an emotional resonance level, a lot of this movie really works. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but hey, it got some genuine tears out of me that don't feel like emotional manipulation. I get that movies are technically always trying to emotionally manipulate you, but there's good ways to do that and there's cheap ways to do that. This didn't feel cheap. But man, that really sucks for Alex Wolff though. The boy did not deserve to go out, and nurses are going to be so useful in this new world. Yeah, I know we can't just keep people alive based on their value, but honestly, that kind of works out for me better in the end because I'm not worth anything. But yeah, that's the movie. Definitely less annoying than part 2, where characters were just way too dumb for how far along into all this they were, even as petulant teenagers. But it's also just so unfortunate that so much of Eric's character development just got pulled when they pulled that 2-minute clip, because it just really honed in on this idea that he doesn't feel like he belongs anywhere, that he specifically came to this big city to be accepted in ways that his family was not accepting him, and then still ended up feeling so alone that he didn't think it was worth living, and then going through all of this situation that should make it being like, okay, you know what, maybe we do just give up, and then finding that will to live. So by taking out that moment where we know what he was doing before they linked up, it really pulls the weight out of it.
So I thought it would be easier not to live anywhere.
And without seeing that, it makes a lot of what he said about his family feel weird in that whole moment of like, this is against the plan, this isn't how it's supposed to be, I don't want to die here. It just feels weird when you don't then get that scene later to be able to retroactively place it on the things he was saying in that moment. Because to me, when you have made it clear to the audience, and John Krasinski has made it obvious to the audience that the point of these movies is the humanity and not the things, the creatures, the lore, it's how people come together, you gotta really deliver on that aspect of the story if you aren't gonna deliver on the lore front. And the more of these movies they make, the less lore and answers they give us, the less satisfying they feel. But I guess the actual part 3, 4th installment is coming next year, so we'll just have to wait and see what that brings us. Maybe it'll be a bunch of answers, maybe it'll be nothing at all. But that's gonna do it for this video. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comment section down below. I've seen a lot of polarizing reviews on this. I kind of fall middle of the well like I did with the second one, but I've seen some people really hate it. I've seen some people really love it. So I'm interested to know what you guys are thinking down below. But thank you all so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members, with a special thanks to the latest Jedi Knight level patron, PJ Movie Fan. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. All my other social media are listed down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later.